The YWCA for a long time has a history of helping women of domestic abuse, women of violence, both sexual and physical and emotional violence. And I think that the Me Too movement has just brought this entire mission of the YWCA to the forefront.
I think the current climate for women is at a turning point, and I hope that we don't lose the momentum.
I kind of reflect on what I learned as a young child in school. You know, the women's suffrage is, wow. You know, people are finally saying, no, this is not right, and we have a voice, and we are strong.
It made me sad to think that my daughters, no matter how far we have come and will come in the future, will always fight that battle. And it's a reminder that we have to be the voice for those that don't have a voice.
As a woman who's been in corporate America and even in the community setting, we've all either experienced it or have heard about it or maybe even saw it happening. So it was not a surprise that finally women were able to not just stand up, because I think they have been standing up and they have been speaking up, but it was enlightening and really humbling to finally say that people started to listen.
It's a long time in coming. But certainly I am so just so amazed to see so many women coming forward and sharing the stories that they have been afraid to share for so many years.
I think the Me Too and Time's Up movement, it provides an open forum for individuals who have been impacted by sexual harassment or sexual abuse. It gives them an open opportunity to be open about the things that they have encountered, to talk about the things that have impacted them, whether it be short-term or long-term.
There also has to be action. And if there's not action, then I think it falls flat. And I don't want people to get numb to the movement. And I also don't want to have what had started happening, I feel, and will continue to happen if we don't have action, is all men being painted as perpetrators, because they're not.
The Time's Up movement actually is really historical things is happening right now, because the world, unfortunately, fundamentally and also historically make women to feel worthless. And this movement is really showing that no, we are not an object, we are the people. And is really helping, especially new generation, to show that this is not the right way to thinking.
The Me Too movement has been just our moment in time. This is a social movement that is so very similar to the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. And this is our time to speak up, to speak out, to remember that there are those who have been doing this for years, but now they have a social movement, and we're with you. And just because you've been silenced before doesn't mean that you're going to be tossed aside in the future. And we all need to speak up.
As a survivor of sexual assault and sexual abuse, I understand the silence and the anger and the shame that you experience. And what this movement is doing is it's giving women the opportunity to share their experiences with other women as well, who have never said anything before. And now they're hearing other women from all different walks of life able to share their stories, and that empowers them, and that gives them their voice, and it helps them heal.
As a female CEO, it wasn't always easy making it to where I am, but that anyone can do it. I mean, I grew up in a very small town and with no sisters and no real female mentors, and so I try to give back to the community and do as much mentoring as I can.
To empower women in my own home, I have 2 daughters, and I also have a son and a wonderful husband, and I make it a point to rear my children as best I can to remind them of what it means to be a member of this society and a member of this community. And I volunteer my time, and they see me doing that.
I empower women by helping them find their voice through education. And education unlocks the fears, and it gives them hope.
The advice that I give them is to be themselves, always, to believe in themselves, to lean in, to ask for what they want, to trust their instincts, because women have really good instincts, and so they need to trust their instincts. And then lastly, to fail forward often and be okay with mistakes, because that's how you learn.
I'm just so disappointed that we are where we are. We still have a lot of work to do to fight racism.
Racism today, especially in our country, is a wicked problem because I do believe it's taught.
With all the racism that's going on, I think, once again, I don't think it ever died.
We don't born with the hatredism. Newborn kids, the babies, they don't know our color or if we are straight or gay. Nothing. For them, we are just the people.
As a black woman, experiencing or witnessing the incidents that happened in Charlottesville is very personal because I went to UVA for law school.
It's horrifying, and it's something that you don't want to happen. And once again, we need to think about what that means for our future and discuss it with our children.
I think we tend to like to hang around people who look like us, who think like us, who were culturally raised like us, and that's not necessarily racial. So I try to engage them to think of other people and their perspectives before they jump to racism. And there are some things that are just, black and white, it's out there, it's clearly racism, but let's not jump there first.
I sit down with my 2 boys every day and talk to them about the way that people should be treated, whether it be male, female, a different race. Everybody is entitled to equal treatment, and I really try to impart that to them and make them understand that if they see it, they should be the one defending against it, and not to be afraid to stand up and say it's wrong when they see it going on.
When everything happened in Charlottesville, the first thing that we did was sit down with all 3 of our children and talk about what had happened. And really their reaction was surprise and not understanding, because at least to them, and I hope it's pretty widespread in that generation, they don't understand why someone is treated differently just because of their race or their gender. And I hope they never feel that way.
It's important for YWCA and other organizations more than ever to be a part of really creating a solution. It starts, I think, by each individual. It starts with understanding, because leveraging difference is so important, not only for just life in general, but for the economy.
When I hear the students at Tidewater Community College tell me that they're afraid because maybe their lifestyle or their experience is different than somebody else's, that really concerns me, and we have to do something to eliminate that fear.
It breaks my heart that Charlottesville was sullied by that. And so I've made a point to talk to people about what they saw. It's not just something that will go away. Unfortunately, racism, I really thought it would just die off because we're all more informed, but the tiki torches burning really showed me that we cannot overcome racism by simply wishing it away. We have to talk to each other, get to know each other, embrace each other.
When this event happened, our church talked about it extensively. We talked about it in our homes and amongst our family and friends, but what it requires us all to do is to be accountable.
Eliminating racism is important, of course, but I am scared right now because I am foreign-born American, and I feel that it's changing. People, they are scared, also different people, and haterism is there, and hate is never be a solution for anything. When you look at the history or when you look at the other countries, we need to learn from there. Hate is never be solution.
as a mother of a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old and a soon-to-be-born child, the idea that we are still having to address and combat, but I'm sorry, but the idea that we're still having to address this in 2018 is more disheartening and disappointing, but it's also uplifting because, again, it highlights the fact that what may be hidden and what people may choose to ignore can no longer be ignored.
One of my favorite skills is being able to give a tour backwards and in high heels.
I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, so be aware, be afraid. Yeah.
I was born in Norfolk, England. How's that?
I am a major baseball fan. The irony of this is that a number of years ago, I had joined a baseball team, and after the first night of playing, I was asked to go home and never come back. But it didn't crush my love for baseball.
Every time I see one of those tube men that flap their arms all around, I giggle with laughter every time.
Growing up, I was a clogger from Western North Carolina, and I wore the big poofy skirts, and I will still clog today if the right bluegrass song is played.